Some of you might already know that an award-winning writer, Alexandria Szeman, wrote a really thorough article describing her experience reducing and eliminating migraines through the use of the Infratonic, which is our central sound healing device. We should just point out that her article is accessible on her website, and we're going to provide a link down in the comments, actually.
We're ready to add Alexandria if you want to bring her on.
Okay.
Cool. There she is.
Oh my God.
Oh, there you are. Oh, good. Save me.
Alexandria.
With I-9 on my head.
Fantastic.
Nice.
She's using it right now. She's got it strapped to her head.
Oh, great.
Yep. Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you might be having some pain, but
Are you just doing that to get to look good? Is that it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why anyone would want the I-9 as a fashion accessory.
Yeah, on airplanes, I wear them like this just to get attention. Cute
Yeah,
girls,
if I could figure out how to keep it on top, I would.
Well, an ace bandage. So just do the ace bandage around and around,
right.
Maybe toward the front, around the ears.
Or, they have like those bottle dancers. You could just be like an Infratonic 9 dancer.
There you go. Okay, that'll work.
Okay, Alexandria,
Yeah.
would you like to tell us, can you differentiate within your experience between the three kinds of migraine that Jake just talked about?
Well, there's migraine with aura,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when you get warning signs. The aura is caused when the cortical neurons go down in a wave across your brain and stop operating. It's called cortical spreading depression, and the neurons in the brain just shut down across the brain. And so you get all the symptoms of, smelling things, hearing things, flashing lights, light and noise sensitivity. Sometimes you get tingling in different parts of your body. Sometimes you taste things that when you're not eating, all those kinds of things. And then that cortical spreading depression is what inflames the trigeminal nerve, especially the branch that goes up in the upper part of the head from, this side that goes up here where the migraine pain is. So they've been able to replicate that in a rat, poor rat, by making the cortical spreading depression happen, then causing the inflammation, which causes the severe pain. So
let me ask, with this cortical depression, the slowing down or shutting down of neurons, did you notice a reduction of consciousness? Was it more difficult to think or be alert, obviously?
Oh, it's very hard to think. Sometimes it's hard to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's very hard to understand. Like if other people are speaking to you, you can't understand what they're saying. It's like they're suddenly talking in another language and you just can't understand what they're saying to you. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to you. So all of those things happen during the aura, during the actual migraine, and sometimes it's a little vague afterward.
During the spreading of the neuron depression, how would you apply the Infratonic?
I don't know yet, because I've had a migraine for 6 months, so I'm still working. I have had one for 6 months without a break, but it's a migraine without an aura. With the ones without an aura just have the pain.
Yeah.
But it's being triggered by the trigeminal neuropathy, so it's being triggered by something else. I haven't gotten that one broken yet, but I would, if I were free of the migraine and then I were experiencing the aura symptoms, I would immediately put the I-9 on the top of my head or wait a minute, where this is right now, where the trigeminal root comes out, where the trigeminal nerve breaks into 3 branches. It's called the trigeminal root, and that's where I've been like that's why I'm wearing it right there, because I'm trying to treat the trigeminal neuropathy and the migraine at the same time. But I would put it, as soon as I felt the aura, I would put it there, and I would put it on the back of the head where the base of the skull meets the spine. That's where the trigeminal nerve comes out of the spinal cord and into the brain, and then divides into 2 to go to each side of the brain. And so I treat that as well, trying to keep the inflammation of the trigeminal nerve down to a minimum. And it's important to treat both sides, even if the pain is only on one side, because
So-
that
So
helps.
I have a question for you on the not having a migraine with aura for 6 months, but having the trigeminal migraine or the hemiplegic migraine continuing. So it seems like the with aura part of it, which is the one that I'm familiar with, did that decrease? Did the infratonic help decrease that?
I can't really tell yet, but what the Infratonic, I've been using the Infratonic 9 since June. This migraine, the intractable migraine, started in April. In June, I started using the Infratonic 9, and by August, I was able to differentiate between the migraine and the trigeminal neuropathy, which is down in this part of the face. And then the migraine goes up to this part. So it's a different branch, and it would bounce back. In August, it started like bouncing back and forth between those 2 areas. Then I had 2 hemiplegic migraines on top, superimposed on top of the migraine without aura. And I was able to recognize for the first time that there was a different migraine going on, and that this was another migraine on top of it. And those are the ones I was able to knock out within 48 to 72 hours by putting it here on the trigeminal nerve root, up here where the pain is, and on the back of the head where the trigeminal root comes in. Now, for the hemiplegic migraine, I put it probably 80% up here, because that's such a painful one, and it reduces the pain and makes it tolerable. And I had to stay in bed, but at least, I wasn't like wanting to knock my head into a wall. And then the rest of the time, I put it on the side and on the back. And then the other migraine is being controlled by keeping it against the trigeminal root branch, trigeminal nerve root, because I think that's triggering the migraine. So I think it's important. You have to figure out what physically might be triggering the migraine. I mean, it could be an injury, it could be something else, a tooth abscess, it could be a hip injury, it could be all sorts of things that could be triggering. So you have to like try all different parts of your body that might be triggering it if it's a long-term one. And but first I would treat where the pain is, and then gradually it allows you to find where the source of the other triggering pain might be.
Now, I believe you said that it appears that the start of this, or the root of this, appears to be an old, poorly treated root abscess, or tooth, tooth abscess.
Oh, right. That's what started the trigeminal neuropathy. I had an abscess in a tooth, and by the time I realized what it was, they had to pull the tooth out. So then between April 2017 and April 2018, I either had what I wrote as face pain, or a migraine. nonstop. So it was going on for almost a year back and forth between the two before I was able, before it turned into just a nonstop migraine. And then that's when I got the I9. After I cleaned out everything in my cupboard and in the kitchen, you know, saying there must be a trigger that I'm missing, then, you know, I tried the I9, and that then separated the two into different types of pain.
Okay.
Wow.
So I'm thinking that starting with the nerve pain from infection, basically the tooth abscess, that is a heavy trauma to have that traumatizes nerves over time and can contribute to the neurological pain and begin to create an emotional trauma from the extreme pain that's focused on the limbic core. So it might have been the abscess that gradually created other sorts of nerve inflammation throughout the trigeminal nerve, and then trauma, emotional trauma in the limbic core from the recurrent extreme pain. So it seems like it might be a development process.
Oh, sure. You know, I can't see anybody's questions. So if anybody has any questions, I can't see them.
I'll let you know. So
Okay.
far there have been none,
Okay.
but I will let you all know.
Alexandria
but
has
for
just
migraine-
volunteered for questions.
I mean, for migraine, I mean, I started with the putting it on the pain on the top of my head. And if the migraine had not been triggered by the original tooth abscess and the inflammation of the trigeminal nerve in the center, you know, in the middle branch, it might not have taken me 3 months to figure out, you know, but so it took like it took 2 whole months of the I9 on the top of my head for it to like start to lift off from this area and then come down into this area, which made me think, oh, right, it is from that tooth. Now, when I have a migraine that's not being triggered by that, I keep it mostly on here, like 90% on there, and it cuts the time dramatically from down to 24 to 72 hours instead of 5 to 7 days.
Wow.
And cuts down the amount of medication, like the Tylenol 3, that I have to take. And it's bearable.
So have you experimented with applying directly to where the tooth abscess was? It seems like that's where a lot of the trauma, the original trauma occurred, and perhaps that's where a lot of the residual trauma in the cells occurs, and you might be feeling it up in the trigeminal nerve, but maybe reducing the original trauma can reduce the rest of these symptoms. Have you experimented with that?
Oh, right. I've experimented with that. But one of the things I noticed by using the I9, especially every day, long term, that the pain from the migraine, if it's being triggered by some other injury, the pain eventually moved, even temporarily, to the place that was damaged. So, for example, the migraine that was being triggered by the abscess sent shooting pain down where the teeth had originally been abscessed and were pulled. And it might only be for a few minutes, but it was very severe, and it like alerted me, oh, okay, this is a place that needs to be healed. So I think for anyone dealing with, we know the trigeminal nerve inflammation causes the migraine pain. So for anyone dealing with migraine, I would suggest, you know, putting it on the brain, whatever brain side you have it, the upper branch of the migraine, putting it on the root, which is right in front of your ear, because that's where it breaks into 3 things. putting it on the back of the head. And if while you're treating that, you notice that other places like pain pops through, however briefly, then put it there. Because it might be, and then when the migraine's over, treat that spot. Because it might be that some injury, for example, I had a dislocated hip when I was young. And even when it's not dislocated, if I overuse it, it can trigger a migraine. And I found that out accidentally a couple years ago when my medical massage therapist was doing Thai massage, where they stand on your hip and your legs, and it just literally shot the pain up my body through my head. And my hip wasn't dislocated at that time. It just, she was working on it. So I've also been putting, the I9 on my hip and on my lower back and over my heart, and just any other places where I know I've had injuries in the past, just in case it might be triggering the migraine. It's come down to this particular one is pretty much being triggered by the inflammation from the abscesses.
Yeah.
But it does, when you put it on the migraine pain, if there's anything else that's triggering it, eventually I think there'll be like shooting pain in that area. And so you need to just be aware that shooting pain might be an indication of an injury that's trying to heal itself. I don't know how the nerves are all connected. I'm a doctor, but I'm not a medical doctor. I mean, I'm an English world lit doctor, so that's what I know. But I'm guessing that, these pathways are all connected. And so I would advise everybody to really pay attention when they put it on the migraine, to what other areas of pain might pop up. And then when the pain eases off, put it on that other spot.
I'm sure Richard really wants to chime in on this one.
Oh, I'm guessing.
What I wanted
I don't want everybody to feel neglected. You know what I mean? I don't want them to think.
Oh no, this is gold.
This is wonderful
This is
information.
the kind of thing we really want to have is a one-on-one or two-on-one interview with someone who's experienced some relief.
Somebody who's learning so much about migraines. You know what I mean? From using the I9.
Now,
Definitely.
what I wanted to bring up was the question of, I'm noticing that your hip can trigger a migraine, a shooting pain up to the head that introduces pain, and your tooth can introduce that. And going back to our the little introductory words that I said, I'm wondering whether it is partly contributed by this oxidative stress in the atmosphere, and whether you have tried the Vital Harmony pendant. You might have been so involved in other things. Have you tried the Vital Harmony pendant?
I have. I can't say that I noticed any relief, but I think there are other things, physically that I had to deal with first. And so I'm not sure if the Vital Harmony pendant relieved the headache. It might eventually, but right now there are other things that I have to keep, like the Infratonic going. Literally I've been using it since June. I was using the Infratonic 8000. Before that, I borrowed my medical massage therapist, which she had used on my hip before. So we knew it reduced pain. Right. So she said, try it on the migraine. So
for anyone watching who doesn't know what that is a previous model of the.
And it's the one that's not portable. So it's plugged in, and you could wear it on your head, but you'd have to carry the whole machine around with you.
A generator.
With a lot
the whole generator and everything. So after that reduced the migraine pain, that's when I got the I9, because I knew that it could work on the migraine. And so now it's been, I would say, first of all, I would not wait for a migraine. If I were going to get an I-9, I would not wait for a migraine. And I certainly wouldn't wait till I had one for 3 months before I got one. And I was absolutely desperate to stop the pain. But so, for example, when this one stops, which it will one day, I would use the I-9 basically every day as a preventative, to keep future migraines from happening for whatever reason. Migraine without aura, migraine with aura. Migraine without aura tends to come for me from other injuries. So it has the pain, but it doesn't have all the other neurological symptoms. The hemiplegic ones, I mean, I wish I knew what caused them all. I know, for example, stress can cause those. Being dehydrated can cause them. Being hypoglycemic from not having eaten recently, not having enough sleep, those things can trigger the most severe neurological symptoms. So there's so many things, that you have to do to take care of yourself when you have migraines. But I would use the I-9 as a prophylactic to help keep the nerves from getting inflamed. I hope that helps anybody who's listening.
Mm-hmm. Or people who are going to be listening in the future.
Oh, right. Okay. So, right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, treat the migraine that you have first, and then keep on using it every day. And in the article, I have pictures like the different places I used it, like the back of the neck and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure how much of those other things, like the neck pain, they've found is a symptom. It's not a trigger for a migraine. It's a symptom of a migraine.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
But it makes you feel better to put the I-9 on there because it relaxes the muscles. So you just, you feel a little better. Put it right here in the middle, and it relaxes the tension in the forehead and things like that. So those aren't triggers per se. There are lots of other triggers you have to be careful of, but there's no reason you can't use the I-9 to help keep the nerve inflammation down. Because that's the pain. That's what I've discovered, that the inflammation of the trigeminal nerve that's causing the trigeminal neuropathy, which is that I experienced from the abscess and then the tooth extractions, is the exact same pain that's in a migraine. It's just in a different part of the face. So that trigeminal nerve pain, when it's in the middle of the face, they call it suicide pain. I don't know what the difference is. I mean, trust me, in the top of the head, in the middle of the face, it's the most, well, okay, it's not as bad as labor, but it is one of the most excruciating pains that's possible to experience. And so the key will be for consistent treatment would be to keep that inflammation down so that the pain doesn't last for a long time.
This is an area that seems quite important when your neck starts to hurt. Applying it to the neck is relaxing the nervous system from the neck. When you apply it to the forehead, you're relaxing the nervous system from the forehead. So wherever you can calm the overall nervous system, it seems like it's going to calm those parts of the brain that are suffering from the
and
extreme pain.
When it's a headache, I know a lot of people get migraines from stress. I put it over the heart. You talked about that last month in your live video. And so I just put the I-9 over the heart. If I know, like, let's say my car broke down and needs $1,300 worth of work, and I'm going like, oh my God, what? I mean, wow, how did this happen? And I start to feel the symptoms of a migraine. I put the I-9 over my heart first, because I know that's a stress triggered migraine, which is usually not a migraine with aura, but it's a stress triggered one. And so putting it on the heart before that might also be helping reduce the duration of the ones that I've had that are superimposed over this, the one chart caused by the trigeminal neuropathy.
So I have a couple of thoughts here. One of them is related to the oh my God, they both disappeared.
Well,
Put the I9 on your forehead. No.
Yeah, that
right.
might
It helps.
help.
It helps
There you
remember
go.
too. For anybody who is joining us a little bit late, we have been speaking with Alexandria Szeman. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right, Alexandria.
Szeman. Just ignore the Z. Szeman.
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 There we go. Thank you for that. And that's
You're
why
welcome.
having her on live is very good. She can kind of point us in the right direction. She is a prolific, prestigious writer, has won many awards, and we were honored when she wrote a very thorough article about how she treated her migraine or migraines, it sounds like, with the Infratonic 9. And if you haven't seen that article yet, we really encourage you to check it out. It is now posted underneath the video in the comments section. And so I think we're going to try to wrap it up pretty soon here, but sounds like maybe you have another thought, Richard?
Yes, I think of phantom limb pain that might be illustrative here. Somebody loses a limb, an arm or a leg, and they continue to feel the pain in the hand or the foot. And it's been reported using the Infratonic that the pain, just like Alexandria was saying, becomes more extreme at the stump where the surgery was done to remove the limb, and then it mellows away. So it's like the projected pain needs to come back to the source first. So that might be a part of seeing that it moves back from the migraine more toward the trigeminal nerve, more toward the tooth.
Right. And I know that, not every migraine trigger is able to be controlled, because some of it is simply, the neurological, the misfiring that causes the cortical spreading depression, where the nerves literally shut down across the brain. And so that is a neurological disorder. You cannot, as far as I know, you can't stop that. But so you have to do other things as well, to help keep your triggers to a minimum, stay hydrated, eat regularly, sleep well, that kind of thing. But then when the inflammation starts, grab it right away. And then if there are, I call them I call them mechanical migraines, the ones without aura that are triggered by other things, like you did overexertion and another part of your body is injured, but that's triggering a migraine. Then you're going to have to treat both places, the migraine and then the site of the injury, when you figure out what injury is causing that particular migraine. And that's something that I had never even realized before. I mean, I knew I had the 3 different kinds, but I didn't realize that you could have more than one at the same time. You could treat more than one. And so it's something that probably we have to become our own experts in this field, because there are so few migraine experts. And
I wanted to bring attention to one more thing, which was what you said about applying the Infratonic to the heart. I remember studies.
Don't do it if you have a pacemaker.
Right. I remember studies of intensity of pain experience. And when people had a higher anxiety, they would experience 10 times as much, or score it on the pain intensity scale 10 times as high as when their anxiety was low. So there's this component of, I guess it's nerve stimulation from the emotion of fear or anxiety. And just like you said, placing the infratonic on the heart to calm the overall emotional activity can really reduce the intensity of the experience of the pain, even if it doesn't change the specific neurological inflammation going on.
Well, and everyone with migraine has higher incidence of depression, anxiety, um, PTSD, because you're going to get hit with this pain again. You can't control it. So all those kinds of things contribute to it. So in between migraine attacks, I think it's important to put it on your heart to help keep yourself calm, put it on your forehead, put it on the back of the head where the trigeminal nerve comes into the from the spinal column to the brain, so that all those sorts of things can help your body see that it can be calm and pain-free. And I don't know, are we retraining the nerves to what's a calm, non-irritated, jumpy, painful condition with the I-9? I mean, I'm not sure yet how this works. I just know that it seems to work.
Yeah. So other points that might be good, there's a nerve plexus in the belly, and calming the belly would be a great thing to do, and applying to the bottom of the feet, because there are a lot of nerves that come up the legs into the central nervous system. So those might be other points to treat in calming the whole body to reduce the overall syndrome.
So that's what we're going to have to figure out, like what other parts on your body can you treat with the I-9 to help reduce the migraines? I mean, obviously, putting it on your head, putting it right where the pain is, dramatically reduces the pain. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten one if it didn't dramatically reduce the pain right away. And then we have to figure out, like, what will permanently heal some things to make the migraine attacks less frequent and less painful for people.
Jake, we only have about a minute left.
Okay.
Would you like to thank you, Alexandria, for joining us. It's been
you're welcome.
Yeah, it was an absolute honor to have you on. I mean, that was kind of an unexpected pleasure.
I didn't even know this would work. I mean, I didn't know you could do this. So
yeah.
Dayton behind the camera, who we don't see.
Way to go, Dayton.
Performed miracles.
Happy to do it.
Yeah, and I think that was a great note to end on. You kind of, describing this whole systems approach that we should have as we're trying to heal, either ourselves or our family or our friends. That was really just very insightful, and we thank you for joining us. Were there any last questions, Dayton, or is it okay? So I guess we're going to sign off.
I want to remind everybody to turn on your notifications. So next time Sound Vitality goes live, you're going to be notified on your Facebook app, so you can tune in and join us for another discussion. Thanks again, Alexandria.
Yes. Thank you, everybody who watched this either live or in the future. We're here. Please reach out if you have any questions related to any of this stuff. We'd love to talk to you. We're here in the office Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Our number is 1-800-682-7061. You can email us at support@soundvitality.com. You can reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram. We're here for any of your needs. And so without further ado, thank you for joining us. And we're going to be doing this again for the fourth time, the third Thursday of the month. That is true every month. And so thank you for joining us. Have a very blessed evening. Take care.